What if I call you like Ndoki or whatever, or which or little this, all of this stuff, however you feel, outside is worse. But in the grand scheme of things, when you're living in the UK, you've come from another place, you can't call. Imagine like an English parent or a white parent calling their child a witch. 14. Just think about that. Just think about this.
What's going on, people? It's your boy Yaks, and welcome to another episode of Flight on the Wall Perspective.
I'm Sharon. I'll also be the co-host for today on Fly on the Wall. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
So today we're going to be talking about something called frozen values, and we'll be drawing on the story of a woman by the name of Jasvinder Sangera. Sangera? I might not be pronouncing it properly. Apologies. And she is known for campaigning against forced marriages and abuse within the Asian community. So we're just going to see how that applies within our culture. When I say our culture, the Afro-Caribbean, African.
Yeah, African, Caribbean, black
culture. Yeah.
What how did you even find out about this lady?
It was actually from an ex-girlfriend, funny enough. And her friend was telling her about Jasvinder Sangera and how she has shed so much light and awareness on the base killings, on forced marriages, and abuse, obviously within the Asian community, predominantly South Asian community. So it's something that is widespread and it happens more than people think. And so when I started to talk to my ex about it, and she only told me so much. So when I find something interesting, I look into it myself. And I went down a little rabbit hole, and and stuff that I found was crazy, like the findings of what goes on in
that community.
In that community, like domestically, in this country.
Yeah, that's I think that one of the wild things. Did your ex actually experience that?
No.
Or have she?
Oh, she was just a mad feminist.
Okay.
So, but anyway, that's not even the point. It was interesting. You get me? So I looked into this and I was like, okay, this is really interesting because I see crossovers between our culture, African culture, Caribbean culture, black culture, and the Asian culture as well. So it just made me think about how I grew up and the superstition that you grow up on.
Yeah.
Yes, specifically in African families, I have to say it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to unpack there because in the midst of this, there's actually a lot of trauma, psychological and physical abuse, and a lot of young kids don't feel like there's a way out because it's the norm to them. It takes somebody to actually like take action on this as a child. Whether you run away from home, or you speak to a teacher, or you speak to somebody in the local authority. I don't know who it is, but it's like, definitely culture. It's a case of culture, really.
And how we interpret culture. Well, not how we interpret culture, but how we are actually living with an extension of our culture. Do you know what I mean? Or like a new version of it, Because obviously if you think everyone who's emigrated here from other places, originally my family are from Uganda. what cultural references, how do you can't just leave a country and come somewhere else and then become English, for instance, you know, or Americanized or Canadian or westernized. You still have elements of who you fundamentally are. And I suppose like what I found interesting about James Vinder's case is that obviously the Asian community have this, it's quite a prevalent aspect of their community. I can't speak on it, but there's definitely similarities in the African culture in terms of just extreme behavior that we're still bringing from Africa and trying to carry it on here, and there's just no room for it.
No, definitely. It's like arranged marriages. It happens in African like culture, but in a de facto way.
Yeah.
Not this. It's not. It doesn't have the same seriousness as the Asian community do. You know what I mean? So like, there's this whole emphasis about setting you up with someone if you can't find.
What in the Asian culture?
No,
in our culture, in your culture.
Yeah,
Is it?
no, 100%. What
in the Congolese culture?
What? Listen, like especially with church. Church is a place for people hooking up. That's the thing. It's so funny.
Not
when I used to go to church, my mom was like, "Yeah, my friend's daughter likes you." They're all optimistic, like I'm gonna marry one of these, like one of these women.
Yeah.
You know. So, yeah, I've had that a lot growing up. And yeah, you try, you know, and it's like, listen, I'm a religious person. I'm a God-fearing person as well, but there are people that are really not over the top with it. But I'm just like, look, listen, live life, be you a bit.
Yeah.
Be.
Yeah.
Do you know? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not knocking anyone who is living, you know, a religious life and praying on a regular basis. I pray as well, maybe not as much as I should do and stuff, but this is what you're signing up for. You know, if you decide to marry a woman for the church or be with a woman for the church. I'm not even going on that they're all perfect.
Yeah.
Not
but do you think an element,
you know, there's a standard there that they have.
But do you think that an element of that has been brought? Is that a cultural thing, or is that just your family?
No, it's cultural.
Yeah,
it's definitely a cultural thing. But I've seen. Do you remember the film East is East?
No, I have never watched that. What is it?
East is East. Oh my days! Oh,
listen. What is that?
You have to Google that. East is East.
Yeah, go on. What is it?
So, it's about a really an interracial couple where there was a Asian father and a English woman.
Like I think English I've watched
woman.
this. This was an old film.
They have children. They have children together.
Oh, this is an old film. This is an old film. This is on like Channel 4 or something. This is Film 4, 1999. What?
That's a great example
of
what we are talking about.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because these kids are torn.
Yeah.
Torn between two cultures.
Yeah. but
you know what I mean? So I remember there's a scene where they tried to make like one of the older sons, might be the oldest. They tried to like and he's proper westernized.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Most of the kids were.
Yeah.
You know, so I think before him there was already been an attempt to have an arranged marriage like with one of his sisters. And it was like a very awkward.
I think it's bringing back memories about this film. This is actually a good film. I might rewatch.
You have to.
I think I'm gonna rewatch.
So this kid, he's not having none of it, innit? Obviously,
because I watched this when I was too young to understand what was really going on. I remember it being a very complex film, but you know when sometimes you watch films and you're too young to understand.
I saw that in secondary school. They should.
Not everyone is as switched on as others. You know what I mean? But yeah, go on.
I love the nuance to this. Yeah, they had a family business and everything. I think it was like Chippy, if my memory serves me right. And so this guy now, I think he's the oldest, or one of the oldest, you know, boys and stuff. And the one bit that killed me, like when he found out, they tried to do it like so seamlessly and try basically set him up for this arranged marriage. Imagine your parents are arranging for you to marry somebody like.
I mean,
I never met before.
Yeah, but I couldn't imagine that now. but I could imagine that happening in other cultures. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
But
I could
that's what
never
I'm saying.
imagine
In
it.
our
Yeah,
culture,
in our culture,
it's not
never.
that bad. Like that's what I said. It's like de facto.
Yeah. It's like in a sly way. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, my mum once said to me, she was just like, I don't know, I was like 25 or 26 or something. And all of a sudden, there was just this conversation about, oh, I've been speaking to an auntie and her son is looking to get married. And I was like, great. Why are you telling
the
me
wedding's
about
next week?
Here's your dress. Here's your bridesmaids. Here's your tickets to Uganda. I'll see you there, darling. Okay? No, I was just a bit like, why is she? And then she was like, yeah, kind of just in a very like haphazard, not haphazard, but very like nonchalant way. Like, so what you, yeah, cash. It was so cash. I'm actually going back into it and thinking, I'm thinking like, oh my God, imagine if that had happened. And, you know, but I remember thinking to my mum, I'm not actually, and she had a photo of him, and she's like, here, this is him, this is him on WhatsApp. Do you want to, we should add you, let's all have a group chat. And I was like, Mum, this is much. This is a lot. This is a lot right now. You know, I don't think I'm in the position to get married to somebody, but like it was just such a foreign concept. Like it felt so absurd and bizarre for my mother to be saying to me or essentially proposing and saying, hey, so I've got someone you should get married. I think this is the time, it felt like such a foreign concept. But this is the thing, this is why we're speaking about this, because actually culturally there are loads of these nuanced small little things that our parents have brought from our home, our countries, our places of like origin.
Yeah, exactly.
Lots of like Ugandan, Acholi cultural references that for me and for you as Congolese that we can speak of now that we've brought into the country, and you kind of think this doesn't sit with me because I'm British. But I get where you're coming from,
So this film, it's called East is East. Yeah, and so in this film, this dad, Asian dad, obviously married to an English woman, basically disowns one of his sons who refused an arranged marriage.
Okay.
Do you know what this clip here? Sorry, this stood out here. I don't know why, but this is how fucked I am. Yeah, he was like, "What the way? Like there was a build up."
Okay,
he was like,
"My dad's got you and Abdul engaged, and you're gonna get married."
Fucking hell!
Is this true, Sajid? If you're lying, I'll have you.
I'm not. I heard him tell me, Mum.
Don't, my dad'll kill us.
I don't believe this. I'm not marrying a fucking packy. I bet you knew about this, Gandhi. No.
I ain't marrying no fucking the P word.
No, what's that?
The P word, isn't it? Pakistani. Yeah, so he's half Asian, half white.
And he's saying
westernized,
that.
Westernized kids,
mad.
Innit?
Is this in the film East is East?
East is East, yeah.
Wow, I remember this. I remember watching it. Very like, I remember it, but I was too young to understand what this film was about.
Right.
I remember watching it and thinking, oh my God, this is crazy. This is like a little insight into like the Asian culture. And oh my God, is this what happens?
This
like
is what I'm saying. So it's great because it's an interracial family, and obviously the dad has strong Muslim values, you know, strict, tough man, and obviously his wife is like a Karen almost. Do you know what I mean? Bless her.
Yeah.
But when you watch it, you kind of resonate almost with the mum. You see how liberal she and open-minded she is. But again, it gets to a point where, because because there was physical abuse as well.
In the film.
Yeah, you know
I can't
what I'm saying?
remember that. Wow.
And-
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think they made reference to it. I don't think they showed it,
Yeah,
but there's
yeah.
a lot of reference. And
Exactly.
actually, I rate that for
There-
a film to show that because actually that's quite a big. When you think about honor killings
Do you know what I
and
mean?
like forced marriages in these cultures, that's actually quite a massive thing to not reference.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Do you know what I'm saying? That was the perfect example. You know? Like him coming over here, finding a white wife, you know, who's willing to have children with you, but over the years now, you become more and more imposing you know, with your religion. And there's a scene where she actually stands up to him.
Yeah.
And it, you know, really backs. He almost resents his children. And you know what it is? There's this. That's very, very widespread as well. I think in African culture.
Yeah.
Even growing up, my dad, when I misbehave, it's like he doesn't see you as he's his child,
Yeah.
like you're his offspring anymore. The way he'll talk to you, you're like, oh, you're a disgrace to the family. You dishonored me. There's this whole like
That feeling of honor and
this
distinction.
infatuation with
So much.
with honor. So if you misbehave like a 13-year-old, 12-year-old, 11-year-old does, you know, you dishonor the family. If it's not that, it's you've got Kindoki. For people who don't know, Kindoki, yeah, this shit made it on the Sun newspaper. If you know, you know. You know, it means you're
What is it?
possessed, you're a demon.
Oh goodness.
So if you do something that's
Like a
crazy, that's
witch
deemed
or
mad,
something. Yeah.
going through adolescence.
You know what I
do you
mean?
growing up,
Imagine
I got
you're
called all sorts.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Balokio, Hazandoki.
What's Bolokio mean?
Balokio.
Malokio mean?
Don't worry, we're gonna translate all this.
You
you
put
know what it is?
little subtitles.
Listen.
Malokio.
It's so funny because obviously in London, as black people, you know, we all obviously identify with our original country where we're from. You know, so it's funny how the Caribbean man, even Nigerians, they all know about this word like Ndoki, or they know.
Really?
For some reason, like Congo and Nigeria, Congo
Yeah.
are like poster boys for like.
Witchcraft. You heard it here first. Sadly.
You know what I'm saying? The funny is, not even in a racist way, just growing up, my parents was like, yeah, what? They're like, what? In the Asian community, they got worse to judge. Growing up. They was like, don't
See, that's also part of the problem as well. It's like they point the
I've
finger.
literally grown up
It's always
on this.
pointing the finger at other cultures and saying, "Oh, that culture, them, those people."
Or
we're
outside
all-
entity.
Yeah.
Whether it's got to be the devil.
And
like,
but can I
that's
say?
making you misbehave.
But can I say that that's actually what that almost incubates the toxic frozen value and allows it to continue because there's this feeling of like, don't outside there is worse than what's going on in this house. What if I call you like Ndoki or whatever, or which or little this, all of this stuff, however you feel, outside is worse. But in the grand scheme of things, when you're living in the UK, you've come from another place, you can't call. Imagine like an English parent or a white parent calling their child a witch. 14. Just think about that. Just think about this. And do you understand like what that and like this is not okay.
No, it's not actually funny because
Yeah.
young children, African or
Are
Asian,
so
have been abused,
yeah.
have been murdered
Yeah. It's not
for
just
these things.
Yeah.
This is what people need to understand.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you know there was this? It's like this. I don't know why I brought this to mind, but it's that I remember like when I was young, Victoria Columbier, this little girl, she was murdered. Not to take it to that level, but it's one of those things that actually happens. I remember Victoria Columbier. I think let's find out when Victoria Columbier, bless her contacts.
yeah. No, that one, rings a bell.
25th of February 2000. Lovely, gorgeous young girl, 8 years old, murdered. And I remember very vaguely, I was so little when I was watching it. If it was 2000, I must have been, 12. And I thought to myself, why is this why has this baby been murdered by her caregivers? And I just thought to myself, this is such a strange, because this is when like, there was a couple of things that have been happening in the UK, and this is part of it. You see, this is the thing that happens, is this cultural reference where she'd come over here, originally from Ivory Coast, came over here, and then, you know, that's not even her mum. and it was her step auntie and brother, step auntie and step auntie's, or great auntie's boyfriend, and they're just abusing this little girl until the point where they killed her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and they're calling her a witch, and she's like possessed, and they started taking her to like a church, and the reverend was like, "Oh, she's possessed." Even the man had the audacity to say when he took her to, when he was like when the case was being heard, he's written in his diary that he kept on like beating her because she would not cry, so she was possessed by Satan. So he had to beat the devil out of her. Like, this is the kind of stuff that will make you crazy. And first of all, what it makes me think is this happening normally in Africa? Because that's also a problem.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, because actually this way of thinking about your children are possessed and all of this
That's
thing.
the home of that.
Do you know what I mean?
Ideology, though.
It brings me to a point about this
Again.
film that I need to watch as well. If anyone in the people should leave comments if you've watched it and recommend some like films to watch. But I think there's one that came on Netflix called I'm Not a Witch or something like that. I can't remember. Yeah, it's not even funny, you know. I'm Not a Witch, or Don't Call Me Witch or something like that. Yeah, I'm Not a Witch. Yeah, it was on Netflix. It came out on Netflix. It's so crazy, and it's like this is a prevalent thing in our culture to demonize children.
Culture.
Yeah,
That's
but
the
exactly.
thing.
but I'm talking about, obviously I can't speak on the Asian culture. We can look at it and understand it and be like, oh my gosh, yeah, honor-based killings is real. Forced marriage, arranged marriage is a real thing. But for us, I think there's definitely this undercurrent and this tone of systematic abuse, like just a top level abuse. My upbringing is completely different to yours, you know what I mean? It's not as strict, I don't think. Like my mum, I don't want to say she's westernized, but she's a bit more
Westernized.
But also I think there's part of it as well, it's definitely the temperament of the person. Do you know what I mean? Like the family that my mum grew up with, they were all siblings. It was like, you know, it depends on also the life that you had when they grew up, where you're from, you know what I mean? And I came from a family of like my grandfather was a minister of labor, so they were all like not like they were brought up in a private school children, so they already were living quite a different life to the general population in Uganda. So when they came here, I wasn't beaten. I wasn't like told off. I wasn't also a bad child. I wasn't naughty. Does that make sense? You know what I mean?
Some.
Yeah. Like I dare, sad to say, I might have been probably so obedient. You know what I mean? I was never ever, I remember once my auntie said to my mum, "You're lucky with Sharon. She listens. She's obedient." And I thought to myself, when I was little, I used to think, "Oh my God, amazing." But then I grew up, I was like, "Oh." Like, and they've used to push the boundaries. So I didn't get to, not that I want to, but I didn't understand or could relate to stories at school where like girls would come and they'd be like, "Oh, my mum told me I got told off," and they'd laugh about stuff, and I'd be like, "What's happening?" And you hear, and they're like, "Oh yeah, mum told me like, I had to sit on the wall." How do you sit on the wall?
Yeah, mad punishments.
Mad punishments that are like almost like
It's abusive.
like Guantanamo Bay style mad stuff that's just happening regularly in London and not London, well obviously London, but in the UK. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like when you hear of a story like Victoria Columba, you just think, is it it's really this deep, isn't it?
There's another one that happened in Newham, the Congolese family, where a 15-year-old male got murdered by his parents.
His actual birth parents.
Because
his actual mother and father.
Right, yeah, because of an obsession with witchcraft and sorcery. It was Eric Mikubi, 28, and his partner Magali Bamu, age 29, have been convicted. This was obviously in back in the day, 2012. So yeah, fucking hell. So these two and the police again. See, the police are aware. That's another element to this as well, where the authorities are almost naive when it comes to intervening, when it comes to people that are from either Asian or African descent, and it's almost played down the seriousness of this when children do go to speak to authorities. And that's what happened with Jasvinda Sangero. She actually ran away from home. And the police officer found her. She told him what's been going on, and luckily he actually took it seriously.
She says, actually, you guys, if you watch this, you should go on the TED Talk. We'll add it to the link. Watch it. And she says, luckily, like the authorities that she spoke to listened to her and didn't persuade her to go back home. You know what I mean? And that's when you think about that, you're like, what? No, absolutely. No, so obviously now quickly back to the killing of the 15-year-old in Newham. And they were saying the couple who lived in Newham acted after accusing Christie of controlling and adversely influencing a young boy, the jury was told. They originally came from the Democratic Republic of Congo, where witchcraft is called Kindoki. This is BBC, by the way. I mean, and exorcisms are carried out in some churches. In 2010, UNICEF reported 20,000 children accused of witchcraft were living on the streets of DRC. 20,000
Kinshasa
children that have been like basically forced out of their homes. In the
DRC, accusing a child of being possessed is a criminal offence, a law that has been in place for several years. Get the fuck out of here. That's some virtual signaling shit.
Is it?
About fucking they're in on it. The authorities are in on it about like it's becoming a criminal offence. They're going on like they got social workers out there.
This is what I'm saying.
Like, come on, man. Just take a piss, please. So, yeah, there's so much to this conversation, but culture. I'm a first generation Congolese. You know what I'm saying? So, my parents who had a big chunk of their life, obviously, in Congo. And you need to understand, if you speak to, I haven't been back, I came here like 5 years old, obviously escaping war. You know, my dad was a diplomat, you know, the army shot up the house, he had to run out the back of me and stuff like that, man, shit that people could never, ever, like, imagine in their wildest dreams. And all these, growing up, all the beats that I've got, all the verbal abuse, and when you're younger, it's your soul as a human being, you know, you
hasn't developed.
But you get to a point even like enough is enough.
Yeah,
you think it's alright, you think it's okay, you think all this verbal and physical abuse is away until like you lash out, until you do something. You know what I'm saying? Or you run out of the house. You know what I'm saying? Or you might even speak to a teacher because you go to school and the teachers are noticing like you're behaving a certain way. So teachers have to look into this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So social workers have come multiple times. Over to my house.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like so. Like I'm talking from experience.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's not like my parents didn't love me. It's not that. But they did not know any better. This is what people need to understand. So it's not even like I forgive them. I now understand it. That it's all they've known. Do you know what I'm saying? And
also going back to also like just the external. You see what happens in the UK as well, which kind of makes you understand that this behaviour, these forced value, these frozen values. Sorry, these frozen values are
forced values. Yeah,
exactly. I just thought that when I said forced, I was like, actually, they are forced frozen values.
Yeah.
These forced values and frozen values, it makes you realise that actually there isn't a place for them. They're archaic. They are outdated because. When authorities start coming in, whether it be like the police department or teachers, social services, that's what you have to understand. Is like all of these external bodies are there to protect. They act as the westernized village. You see what I mean? It's like back home.
They're doing a good job.
I think they're trying. I think that prevents you can't save every child, but I think we also have to reckon that there's a lot of children like Jasvinda who is actually was protected in her case. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
This was someone who was protected.
Yeah.
So we have to.
Because these things are crimes in this
Yeah,
country. In the
yeah,
West, we don't.
yeah.
This
It's a it's a crime.
This ain't Uganda.
Yeah.
This ain't Congo.
No.
This ain't Nigeria.
Yeah, it's a crime.
Things work a little bit
You
differently.
know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like,
This is not a dictatorship.
yeah, so when you have, failings that happen, you have to understand that also people don't, like, even, like, I don't want to really go back into it, but like Victoria's Columbia's case, the social workers were also, like, during the inquiry, they were questioned, and so why didn't you do anything? And they were like, we just thought it was a respect thing, that when she would just stand up and be really scared of her auntie, we thought, oh, that was a cultural respect.
So we
But
didn't
you
want
need to be,
accused of being bigots.
or being racist, or racially profiling families. But what we have to understand is actually we're humans.
This is what I'm saying.
Humanity is at the
This is
fore, has to be at the fore. When you see a child is in danger, whatever you think, even your instinct, you have to.
So doesn't mental health come into this,
I think
Sharon? Because mental health is taboo.
yeah, in our culture.
It's taboo.
Yeah, but also this is the thing.
Because it won't be it can't ever be. This is honestly, even to this day, my parents have still got this. It's mad because they do understand mental health, but it's like anything that's perceived as unusual behavior. It's always going to be put down. There's a tendency to put it down to superstition.
But
They don't want to accept that mental health is a thing, or they'll be selective with how they believe mental health operates or what mental health means to them.
Yeah, but there's also things that
Do you
play,
understand?
but there's loads of things that play in what you're saying. I completely agree, but you also have to understand that culturally.
No, I know. This
Yeah,
is the root.
I
I
think
know.
this is it. This is why we're talking about it.
So that's
Because-
why I'm
yeah.
trying to introduce the idea of the fact that mental health has to be at the core of this as well.
I think definitely
Because-
in certain cases,
because
in the extreme,
can't-
the
yeah.
extreme cases of these, like when
passing.
children are passing away, their perpetrators are mentally unwell. There's nothing that a child can do that warrants you to kill them. Do you see what I mean? I think generally we can all agree that no child's behavior can be that extreme that you can't control yourself as an adult and look at a child and be like, you know what? Let me take a step back, go and calm myself down, ask for help, go for a break, anything. Not the option is to harm the child or to put and exert any kind of physical pressure to the point where I kill a child. So that is the perpetrator's issue in terms of them having mental health. And there's also a problem in terms of understanding or translating behavior. Because you said a really good thing before, not a good thing, but I really picked up on something that you said before. You were like, it's not that my parents didn't love me. I think there's a lot of love in African and Black community cultures. There's a lot of love in our homes, but I'm not sure if there's a lot of there's tough love, but I'm not sure if there's a lot of empathy.
Exactly.
And empathy requires a lot of compassion and understanding. Do you see what I mean? So when you've got like, you'll always hear like when, I would be like, oh my gosh, I was like 14 going through stuff. We're hormonal, you're young kids. You're like, I can't deal with it, screaming, crying. Your mum's like, in Africa, there's a child that ain't.
Right, yeah.
You're always constantly told, but in Africa, or there's something. It's like,
Exactly.
listen, I understand that, but today is February the 8th. I'm 13. This is South London, and I'm talking to you, my mum, and I'm stressed out because I'm talking about this thing. I can't relate to anybody that's in Africa, and so they don't understand that. They do, but we can't. Their children can't understand that. It's so crazy for them to think that we should be always grateful for every opportunity that we have, because we're not in Africa. Do you know what I mean? That is such an insane. That is a mental.
This is where you're torn between two cultures. After all, when I got to a certain age where I didn't have to go to church, I was old enough to do my own thing, basically. And the amount of stories that I heard about people getting possessed, people going crazy over kindoki, witchcraft, or it's being used on the one. Okay, I'm just like, first things first. Why wasn't all these superpowers supposedly were meant to have wasn't used to make Africa like well and truly a great continent?
Instead, all the children are witches. Imagine all the kids in Africa, all of them are cast out because they're the witches. Why don't you then try and cultivate those children's gifts or curses, all that power that these children have? Why don't you just?
Why don't we do voodoo on the fucking invaders and the colonialists? Why? No, I'm laughing about this, but it's not funny because in Haiti, you know, the Haitian Revolution, they'll sacrifice the animal, pray to the ancestors, go to war, and win against people with more advanced weapons.
Yeah.
in big numbers.
Yeah.
And kill. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I believe in this stuff. I do, but my point is, I'm not gonna let it. I believe in superstition.
Oh, okay.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. You know, if there's I believe in God.
Yeah.
There's a God, there's a devil.
Yeah.
Energy's a thing.
Yeah.
You can tap into the wrong energy.
Yeah.
You tap into the right energy.
Yeah. But to say that a child has already tapped into that, I think is wildly.
Really?
Well, of course.
Really? Really?
Of course.
Really?
Really?
No, you know what I mean? It's a bit OTT where you know what I'm saying. Kids are getting murdered for this.
No, we can't. Yeah. It's not even. It's like.
You know what I'm saying? And
it's actually painful.
What sort of children are you raising, and the survivors of this? Like what? And do you know what I'm saying?
And what
in later on in life, and you start acting violently towards people.
Yeah, and then everyone. This is what also happens.
You take this out on society, but if you're going through that at home and you're going to school, and somebody's trying to bully you, or someone who is getting £20 every day to school and trying to act like he's tough, like he's bad, I'm gonna fuck you up.
Yeah,
I'm talking about
because
myself.
you're angry.
So,
you're upset.
do you know what I'm not even getting £20. I'm getting £5 a day for school.
If you're lucky.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
And beat.
And then I'm trying to kick my ball, but you got these people like these little guys out here who think, you know what I'm saying, they're bad, and you got it nice. You know what I'm saying? You ain't get called a flipping Ndoki or getting called.
How did you feel that did that also have an impact on how you behaved?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I didn't date.
What you just said is quite interesting. What you just said, you know, like there'll be people out there who were having their lives. They were nice. They weren't going home and having to deal with this extreme cultural
phenomena.
Well, wouldn't even call it phenomena. Like this, like purification at home, where they were just like, you're just like being like, go. You literally open the door and it's like you're in Congo. You shut the door and it's like you're in the UK. It's like literally two worlds. Do you know what I mean? There isn't this blend or this like
and the physical abuse.
It's just
as well. You know, it's like they take your parents. It's like, but you know, what's your parents? My dad takes this guy will come back from church angry. I'm like, you've just gone to church.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Don't know what happened.
do you know how many times I remember my dad being vexed and he's come back from church?
What?
I'm like, why did you go to church? You coming back and you're mad. And what? Do you know? Oh, my days. It's like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And these days, my mum was like, "Oh, you coming to church?" I'm like, "No, I'm not coming to church."
It makes people angry.
No, I'm not coming to church.
Do you know what I mean?
You know what I mean? I can listen. I pray. You know, not every day, but I still got a relationship with God.
Yeah, but you see,
my relationship with God is not based on me going to church every Sunday.
Yeah, but you see, it's so telling. You see, a lot of these, like, look, that's a perfect example of like, you don't do something because you saw firsthand the experience of someone going to church, coming back, you're thinking this is a place of God, peace, redemption, love, grace. You come back fighting, angry, and you start beating me up. What? I don't want to go there. So of course you don't want to. You wouldn't want to be part of that, because actually your experience from the person receiving it is negative. It's a negative experience.
That stuff has nothing to do with God.
Of course.
It don't.
Of course.
Like, spirituality in Africa was there way longer. Us African ancestors, you know, not even just our ancestors, even now pray to the people pray to their ancestors. You know, there's different like, again, obviously superstition has been demonized, but it can be used for wrong, but it can also be used for good.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying? But this is not everyone's way of life. So if you're not from this culture and you're like the white man who goes to invade Africa and you're seeing like, what the hell is going on here? And conquerors are writing the fact that they're seeing superstition happen in Africa. They're seeing people disobey, they're trying to shoot them and stuff like that. This is, you know what I'm saying, people have documented the stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? So for them, you're going to demonize the hell out of these people. Do you know what I'm saying? These people are Hannibals, they're savages. We need to kill them, we need to control them, we need to enslave them. We need to, do you know what I mean? But really, no, like, it's been distorted. You know what I'm saying? That has been used for enslaved people, not just in Africa, to again for salvation out of slavery. You know what I mean? So it's not like I practice this, but I checked. You know, the older I got, and I was like, I started to understand this sort of stuff. I'm like, okay, let me actually dive into this a bit myself and see where this comes from, the roots of, you know, of superstition. And it's that and religion is separate. You know, I think people and back home bring that into religion. They actually do, you know, which is separate.
I think they tie it.
Because we know
they bring it to tie. And actually, that's a very, very good point, because actually my culture as well, religion, faith, and superstition. I don't know what I want to call superstition.
Saying go hand in hand or something.
No, they don't.
I know they don't really,
they're
but
completely different. They're completely different. They're completely different beasts, if I say that. Can I say that? Because, like, you know, faith...
But I think they give so much power to superstition. If something goes wrong, it's just like...
I think also what you have... No, but also what...
You might not understand
but
this.
But what I think also happens as well is that the trauma... You see, if correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, not even... And I think it actually is the trauma. I think it's the trauma of moving from your home country for whatever reason. And I think you have to understand, as first generation British young black people, our parents didn't come here on good graces. Well, my mother was running, like, you know, my family left Uganda because of the change of government. You know, Idi Amin was taking over from Obote, and it was a mad time. You know, it's not that they left and they were like, they couldn't stay there, but the choice was that they needed to leave because they had to, you know.
Safe for
it was especially if your parents or your family members were in Parliament or in government.
100%.
Whenever there's a change of government.
Trust me.
You have to.
We can relate.
Yeah, so that's why we moved. So you have to understand as well, like, there's a loss that happens in that. So I can kind of have this empathy and understand that there must be a fusion of the faith and the superstition that happens for you to cope, because you're being torn away from your home for whatever reason. Even if you had to leave on good terms, even if you leave on good terms, you leave and you come to a place where everything is completely different.
I know, but the thing is, my thing is, Kindoki is not in the Bible. My parents are Christians. I'm a Christian. So why is it that when even my little brother and sister, like my parents, they've changed a lot since my little brother and sister were born and they grew up. You know what I'm saying? They started to, like, adapt to the culture more, less shouting, no more beats.
Yeah, is it because social services came around?
Nah, not really. Kept it G still. You know.
So then why? What happened? What was the change?
It's like they give so much power to it. When when something, I feel like they give it so much power. I'm like, well, you believe in God. Why are you giving Kindoki, which is not even in the Bible? This is what I'm saying. It's a cultural thing. Because babe, there are Christians, hun. So I get really passionate here. You know what I'm saying? There are Christians from all different races of people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Are they all saying that their children are possessed?
Yeah.
Are possessed when they're misbehaving?
Yeah.
Or when they haven't hung up the washing?
Yeah. Wow.
Or
How is it? Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Or because you're not behaving well in school. Or because why do you think your child might not might be having anger problems in school?
Yeah.
Or he's not having none of it. Oh, maybe because of no, it can't be because of what's happening at home. This don't cross their mind. This is, do you know?
Yeah.
It's actually,
But that's what
I don't want to say it's sad, man, but, it's you see how the culture of it is being ingrained in them, but they don't know anything better. So you have to remind yourself of that.
Okay, so then what happens then?
You know?
Now, what happens from now on? Because obviously, look, we can't always be like, oh yeah, we understand that this is an issue.
My parents have changed though. Since
But that's why I just asked you. But why?
Yeah.
What was the change? Do you think it was also time?
They started like I said to you, they started to adapt to the British culture.
Yeah, they started to understand.
Do you know what they've been through?
Yeah.
Back home to get here.
Yeah.
Like, leave it. I come from a place of compassion and deep understanding.
Yeah.
That's why this stuff is never like driven me off the rails. Because people have gone crazy over this stuff.
Yeah.
It's not a joke.
But can I also say it's not for the children though to have this radical empathy and compassion. It's actually down to the parents.
The adults are
They're
imposing this on the children.
Yeah.
So what can now it comes down to like your psychological fortitude. What you can take mentally.
Yeah, this is the thing though.
This is what say if I wasn't me and this shit turned me mad, or I felt like, do you know what I'm saying? I had to, like, this sort of stuff. Trust me, man, I can relate to it. People really need to know, like, this shit is real. It happens every day. It's a cycle. So this is why I rate Jasvinder Sangera for what she's done.
Awareness, because I think also this won't change over time. It's not going to change immediately. It will change over time, is what I mean, and that comes from the awareness. Actually, if we all be like, oh, this is not okay. This is actually, that has to stay where it needs to.
Yeah, we're not perfect.
No one is. No one. And it's not just, because we're in the UK, the UK is perfect. The UK, we all know the UK is not as perfect as well. No world, no country, no area in the world is perfect. But there are elements of different cultures that need to be left in the past and they need to not be taken into the future. I think we're all awakening, we're all growing as a human race and as a society, and we're starting to understand that, look, there's different ways of doing things, there's different ways of raising children, there's different ways of being a human being, and this is one of the things. You can't carry on culture and
we're not speaking for every single African family either.
Exactly. And
but it does happen at a high rate.
And also there's a difference between culture and tradition, right? Tradition are things that keep you rooted to who you are. And that's beautiful. Those are the things which are, those kind of cultural references enhance and develop you and your community far more than holding on to these toxic
frozen values.
Yeah, toxic frozen values that are degenerative and abusive and also
violate human rights.
Yeah, but also
shouldn't violate human rights.
But also destroy the future generations. You know what I mean? I'd love to know actually what the correlation is between these kinds of behavior to essentially to like crime, to gang affiliations, or to like
100%.
You know what I mean? I would love to see. Actually, I think we should come back on to this topic and see if there's any correlation.
Judge on the roads as well.
Do you see what I mean?
That's another rabbit hole.
I think we should actually come back and see what the correlations are and like get some statistics, because I'd like to understand what people from certain backgrounds and homes and how this has kind of affected them in real life and how they've actually become a person from that. Do you see what I mean? You know?
Yeah.
How does it affect your mental? This affects your mental, being called every day a witch or being beaten unnecessarily, like to the point where it's just crazy. Like crazy. Like some of the stories that I've heard, I've just been like, and then you got to go and sit down and take your GCSEs and also do well so that you can become a doctor or a lawyer.
Do you know what I'm saying? Listen,
How are you supposed to do that?
Listen,
How do people expect you to do this?
listen.
And you're 15.
That's right. Yeah, listen, I was unruly in school.
Bonkers.
This is trust me. I'm not. Listen,
Bonkers.
going to school from that.
Yeah.
You've just been given licks before school. Listen,
Just
and
messes
don't get
up
me
the
wrong.
day.
It's like every culture. You know, the white children that get beats in this country.
Yeah.
You know, but are they getting called? You know, a witch? Are they getting called a demon? Are they getting called? Oh, we need to take.
Or is that or in some cases, is that the justification for the abuse? Because in a lot of like black cultural families, I feel like that is the justification for even the abuse. Like you were saying about that young boy in Newham, like they actually believed he was possessed, so they became fixated and obsessed with basically mistreating this young boy to the end of his life. That is
You're mad.
that is
to me, you're mad.
That's
I don't want to hear Christianity. I don't want to hear us a person. Oh, we thought he was possessed. You're possessed.
Yeah. You're actually
You're the one that's not right in the head, and you're just damaging a young person psychologically and physically.
Yeah.
To the point of
to
death.
To what end? For what? You know.
This shit has got to change.
Yeah.
This mentality.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying it's every Congolese family. It's not. Congo's a big place.
Yeah. It's not
Congo's
every
place.
African culture. Not every culture.
Exactly. Like where my dad's from the bush. Where he's from is like all of that.
Yeah.
There's certain stuff I don't even want to talk. People don't even believe me if I got into today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So.
I think we'll and on that note,
I don't want to freak out the viewers.
Yeah, let's not. Let's try and keep our subscribers. But yeah, I think this is a really interesting topic. I think a lot of these conversations need to be had and need to be spoken about. It'd be really great to know what you all think in the comments. Please speak about and share your thoughts and your experiences, and you know, have we missed out on anything? Is there something that we should touch on again or revisit? Because I'd like to know if this is something that resonates with people. You know, is this something that's happening? Of course, we know it's happening, but is this something that we should actually?
You don't even have to be black or Asian.
Yeah.
Like if you might have friends who are. And who have experienced this
stuff to you, and you've just been like, "Wow, thanks." Yeah. You know, I'd like to know.
What families do as well, they always put on a very
perfect front
face when someone comes knocking.
And this is what you hear. This is what you always hear as well. It's so funny. It's mad. You know, they're always the ones that go to church. They're always the ones that are going to. They're going to church regularly, properly. Everyone's clean, everybody's eating, but these people are being mistreated very badly at home. So it'd be nice. I want to start to understand, and it's not nice, but it'd be good. It would be good to hear if there are other.
Definitely, anyone can relate to this. Whether you are one of these people who've gone through this, or people who have.
Yeah. Let us
and
know.
It's about awareness. This is what Fly on the Wall perspective is about.
About
we're not going to be here gossiping about celebrities week in, week out. You know, we're going to talk about things of substance and things that lived experiences. So, and as a solution, as one of the solutions, I believe is simply when we have children, because I haven't got one yet.
Yeah.
We're going to change the culture.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna be calling my kids. I ain't gonna be even telling my kids about. They ain't gonna know about no Kindoki.
Yeah.
I know. Don't know about God. Don't know about going to church. Nothing to do with being possessed. And none of that, man. We someone like myself was a burden bearer. Yeah. You know.
That's a good.
For
start.
that.
That's a good start.
So that's just the solution, because you have to understand
and
how our parents grew up. What reality that they lived. I can't relate to that. I can understand it.
Yeah.
And unpack it
Yeah.
and look into it as
But
much as
I
possible
won't also
and try and
relate
put
to.
myself. But that's what I think love is about. That's what real love is about. So, you know, love. Listen, I always go back to that. To like, you know what? That my love allows me to understand. Like they didn't know any better. God forgive them for what they do.
For they know not what.
You know what I'm saying? Because they're humans. They're not God. My parents ain't God. You know.
Yeah.
So they've taught me all the right things
Yeah.
in life. But obviously, I've had a past in and out of prison, stuff like that. You know, throughout my 20s. So could that be a result of what I went through as a little child? I guess that's objective. So yeah, thank you very much for tuning in to this one, Frozen Values, and let us know what you think. Please like, share,
Subscribe. Catch you.
all of that. So, boy, BX.
Sharon on the other side.
Yeah.
Catch you on the next one.
Done now.